Once again, good afternoon, everybody. Psychological, emotional, and behavior elements to manage an unhappy patient. It is not possible to make all the people happy all the times. Discontentment from your patient may start even before they have seen you. The 3 points where discontentment brews is a consultation chamber, the intraoperative part, and the post-operative results, which make maximum discontented patients. And the 3 variables are the system, the doctor, and the patient. Your system is your reflection. The patient starts forming his opinion even before he sees you by talking to your receptionist over phone or by meeting reception. So it is a teamwork, and every member of the team has to play his ultimate good role, put the best foot forward so that you have a really happy patient. The front desk should always be polite, smiling. He should always be precise about the time availability of the doctor. Don't bluff patient. It is a crime to make the patient wait. And remember, the patient who has waited more than he should have is unlikely to return back to your clinic. If you or your team were busy during the OPD hours and could not answer the patient over phone, note it down and do remember to call back. Don't say we forget. Sorry, we forgot it. The waiting period should be hassle-free. All the history will either taken by your junior resident or your optometrist should be documented. Repeating the same questions at various stations is not correct. It really makes the patient annoyed. The optometrist should be professional. He should not be making his own diagnosis and management, because if his viewpoint and your viewpoint clash, the patient loses faith in your system. The counselor should read your notes precisely before attempting or trying to counsel a patient for any particular premium IOL. Each patient walking into our OPD is not just an ophthalmic problem. He is a complete package. He is a sum of good as well as bad experiences of his as well of his relatives, and he has got all the valid reason to believe it. Any diagnosis which gonna affect his visual prognosis cannot be very annoying to the patient. Doctors are normal individuals wearing white coat and having a great responsibility on their shoulders. They are among us or like us, but they are very intellect people who put their own commitments on a back burner for others. But the society is not ready to understand them, and there even a slight mistake is not pardonable. Never make assumptions about the medical literacy of your patients. I have a doctor friend whose father lost his first eye during an SRVN surgery. His other eye had a thick PSC, 6/6 vision, RPE changes at the macula. I told him this could be a problem. He said, no problem, go ahead. We operated. Just 3 weeks post-op, the patient had a big RPE rip. The patient lost his sight and I lost my friend, in spite of the best treatment we could do for that. 1 year later, the gentleman comes to my OPD and tells me, if you knew that this could have happened, why didn't you tell it to me? I could have spent more time of my life with a relatively not so good vision rather than having no vision. Another thing would happen, a lady, a very simple looking lady, I operated her. She had a good 6/6 vision, but 1 month post surgery, she says, sir, I cannot do reading work. I said, you have opted for a monofocal lens. You won't be able to read without glasses. She said, you never told me about a multifocal lens. And she was right. I didn't counsel her for multifocal, thinking that a simple lady may be a home lady and she won't need that. In fact, she was a PhD in language and was a vivid reader. So the important point where what I want to emphasize over here, take your patient always in loop while discussing the prognosis, not just to the attendants. It's very important the patient who has to undergo the life should know what can be the possible outcomes for him. And whatsoever may be the medical ophthalmic condition, give all the options to the patient, but tell him these are not suited for you, you should go for this one. We doctors should be very important, be very working hard on our choice of work, because we are really good in language communication. Intraoperative area is again a very important aspect. You should always check the patient data before taking up for the surgery. A very common problem that comes up during the operating point is, sir, I have a work to do. Can you take us first on the list? Be very gentle with the patient. Don't let your blood pressure rise or don't get disturbed. Tell him, sir, there's a protocol for the OT. We first take the single-eyed patients, then we take the toric patients, then the ICLs, and then rest of the list. I try to push you up the list if by chance your name is down, but I cannot promise. Never shout or whisper to your OT attendants, your OT staff. Any change in volume is perceived as a complication by the patient. Don't talk over phone or don't do irrelevant personal talk with the OT staff. This is always considered as a lack of concentration by you during the surgery by the patient. And if unfortunately anything goes wrong, admit it just after the surgery. Talk to the patient and his attendant, sir, we were planning this. This is what happened. And now this is what is going to be the next line of action. And the outcome is going to be little delayed and it's going to be this way. Don't postpone for the next day. Staff training and empowerment is very important. Multiple examples of it are, patient says, I had taken an appointment, but I am required to wait now. On the appointment itself, your staff should be telling, sir, you have an appointment for this time, but your real waiting time will depend upon the ground realities. Have walk-in patients also, or the another option is you can segregate the time of walk-in patient with those of the appointment patients. I paid for your consultation fees 2 days back, or I paid for the cataract surgery, and now you're asking me to pay again. Why? I'm still not satisfied, or my problem are still persisting. You should always have it written on your reception. The consultation is very for these many days, or your post-op free consultation is for so many days, and any change should be told to the patient, and on his last visit of a free consultation, it should be told, sir, from next visit onward, you'll have to pay for the consultation. Another problem which usually comes up, sir, the patient who came after me have left and I'm still sitting. These patients are really mumbling type of to tell them very politely, sir, we understand, not pressed for time, but the patient who have left had come before you, they had prior appointment, or they were being dilated, and still if it's not ready to understand, you show him on your computer screen the time of check-in of the patients. If you have a doctor or a VIP patient waiting in your reception area, just always get up and accost him to your chamber. Don't ask the room attendant to call the name. You getting up and calling the that particular VIP person won't make the patient mumble. And remember, any discontentment which is brewing at this juncture should be handled in the OPD only. It should not be allowed to go to the next step, that is the operating area. And should a person become irrational and he threatens to call the police or the media, you should always remain quiet. In the sense, speak less and listen more. Maybe the patient is right. It is his real genuine problem, and it's to make him relax. Remember one thing, the patient will never remember what you said, what he spoke to you, but always remember what you said. So you have to be always respectful, polite, and never be manhandling your patients. And suppose if the patient still blows up, you have right and silent. Again, I repeat it, just control your temper. It is easy to said and done, but remember, doctors are more learned and educated, and they are much superior than general population. So we are expected to handle it in a better way. Our image building and maintaining is very important. So always be polite, proficient, positive, so that people can vouch for you. If you still feel it can be a physical intimidation, always maintain a safe distance and call your staff for help. Saying that you are under a CCTV coverage will always put the patient off. And having a good relation with the local authorities is always good. Always document all complaints, even if you had a commotion in your OPD. Always document it and keep your statements always respectful, brief, and clear. Saying that you calm down or yelling is not going to help. The patient is going to rather shout more. According to the belief of from such situations, is always better to invest time in them. Always find solutions for the problem. Focus on highlighting the solutions. Give plan B, plan C, and always in a simple language so that the patient can understand. And always end the conversation in a positive note. Ask what he wants and how he thinks can be achieved. Suggest options, and don't forget to summarize that this is all the problems and this is what we are going to do to help you. And let me tell you, all the complications are not the patients. We surgeons are responsible to a great extent. I'll show my examples. I operated a LASIK patient. His second eye had a buttonholing. I put back the flap, did a PRK, and naturally the patient was not having good vision. After 1 week, till I could just handle him, he came with his father, uncle, and couple of his friends. He came at the fag end of my OT to the winter days around 8:30 at night when we had nobody in the clinic. And they were really angry at me. Sir, you have messed my child's eye. I said, no, sir, wait for 3 months. It will be all fine. It's a little problem, but that will be fine. He comes back to me and at the same time, I am more prepared. They said, sir, we have taken 2 further opinions, and they said your eye has nothing to be done about it. I said, no, sir, you'll have to wait for 3 months. You have messed my child's career. He's got it done for recruitment purposes. And if you can do it tomorrow morning, do it, or else pay me back the money. I had no option but I had to give him to a LASIK. I explained post-op. His father could understood, but his elder brother said, doctor, you will have to pay for your eye if something goes wrong with my brother. Once a cataract patient who had a multifocal IOL, he had a +3 error post-op. I had to do IOL exchange. Another patient had a -1 spherical post-op. She was not ready to buy any of my explanations, near dominant, distant dominant, no. So I had to put an add-on -1 spherical for her. A patient came to me and said, I want to be spectacle free. I said, okay, we checked him, and he needed toric IOL. So I explained him, and we got it done for him. Sorry, we did it for him. 1 minute after, he said, sir, but I still need glasses for me. I said, okay, so you'll need them. But you haven't put a multifocal, it's a toric. He said, sir, I said for glass independence. And he was right. There was a communication gap from my side. I just went on for the toric, not for the toric multifocal. So what I want to emphasize it's not just because of why the patient is angry. I was also responsible in not this and many more circumstances and conditions where this happened. Once in my outreach hospital, we had to end off. I person over there to send them to a day center. We saw the patient, but both the patients were very angry and they were in a very bad conditions. So I talked to them, sir, what we are now going to do is trying to just save the eye. I'm not talking about vision. I'm very sorry. I didn't do it, or you wanted it, but it is unfortunate it has happened. So you'll have to understand it. And but what true the possible in the books for you, and I'm not going to charge you anything for that. But you have all the reasons not to be happy with me. Sorry, not to rely on me and not have faith in me. You can go and take treatment anywhere else you like, but that I'm not going to pay for that. I'm ready to handle it on my own. I did them. But had vision, other didn't have a good vision. So these are the way we can mess up the situation by our actions, our not so deliberate ones, or our communication. Lack of communication skills. Now, psychological strategies, emotional intelligence, it is the ability to identify and regulate your feelings and feelings of others around you. Calling them by their name gives a good rapport. Practice reflective thinking. Reflective thinking is seeking to understand the patient idea and offering it back to him so as to confirm that it has been understood by us. Understand the core issues. Always approach like a beginner. Don't show your knowledge and expertise. Let them speak first and then you handle it. If it seems it's a big problem, break it down to small compartments so that you can handle the smaller issues easily. Always show empathy. Always remain calm. Just don't give it. I always say, fake it until you make it. And once you have achieved the solution or result, pat on yourself and take a break. Remember, neither you nor your practice will survive if you are not healthy and if you don't if you neglect your health. So what we have learned from it, the unhappy patients are the greatest source of learning. Your mistakes tell you, yes, I should not be doing all these problems. And they are, a patient problem is a major opportunity for you to build your relationship. Always welcome the patients. Patient has reason for it. Don't brush them away. If you know the patient has a problem, walk up to me and say, sir, had I been in your place, I wouldn't they're happy with the results. Now we know this has happened and see. And when patient, in spite of your best possible effort, is not ready to understand, is going to take a second opinion. It's always better to refer the patients. Thank you. Thank you very much.